Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today I have my co-host Barbara here with me. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I am. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Hi, and I should say this is kind of a Memorial Day because it's September 11th. And,
yes.
It's interesting because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the company Blog Talk is actually in New York. So, that's what the company is. And I think that that day was such a real unusual day for everybody. It
was horrible.
On our show, the one, sorry.
Terrifying. No, I was just saying, I just don't want to use that word, unusual, or agree to it. Yeah, unusual, but it was terrible. It was horrifying. It was shocking. It was heart-breaking. My dad I called him. I said, "What are you doing right now?" He said, "Getting ready for work." I said, "You're not going to work today." He was an American Airlines captain, okay? He was going to LAX to work. And I was right, because they called immediately and said, airport closed. So, can you imagine? And I think he was one of the first ones back on the tarmac when they were able to start flying and open the airports again. And he said that was, of his whole 50-year career, the scariest time, because the pilots felt like they were sitting ducks on the tarmac. They really felt that. So it was scary, he said. So we want to remember all of the ones who lost their lives on 9/11 in that horrible attack on our country, and their loved ones and family members. Maybe you know a model friend of mine whose husband's brother was killed. So that was the closest I got to knowing of somebody where it really hit their family way over here in California, but she's from New York, so it really affected so many people, not to mention everybody in America. So thank you, Johnny, for
and I want to say
talking
this
about
before we go on. When I made the show, I wanted to be designed, because I remember, like, on 9/11, one of two things were happening. Either everybody was talking about 9/11 or they weren't on the air. Like, VH1 was not on the air. They had this big thing up that says, we're not airing any programming because of 9/11. And I didn't want to have something that couldn't be on the air and talk about it. And I didn't want to have something that would tell people not to talk about something, to where that, we were open and we were accepting. You understand?
Well, do you know anybody who wouldn't want to talk about what happened on 9/11?
Well, what I'm trying to say, Barbara, is that okay? I'm not saying that. I'm trying to say is that there are times. Let's say that you were on a cooking show, okay, and every day you talked about how to make lasagna and bread pudding and all sorts of stuff. And then it's 9/11. Well, nobody wants to talk about bread pudding and lasagna on that day. They want to talk about the Twin Towers. You see what I'm saying?
Not
but
really.
If the show is...
You mean, what are you talking about? The livelihood?
What I'm trying to say is if the show is just designed for one topic, you see what I'm saying, then you really have two choices. You can either be off the air or talk about it. But then if you talk about it, you see what I'm saying?
I do now. You're talking about the show that you created, which we're on right now, called Life After Happiness, and that you wanted it to be a variety show.
Right. Our show is designed to where it's like, we don't go off the air just because of a tragedy. We talk about it. If something bad happens in my life or in your life or in anybody's life, that we can talk about it. I would never say, suck it up, Barbara, let's not talk about that, because, your feelings are important to me. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree as well, though, with you about the topics, because I would get very bored if I just had to talk about one topic, one subject, just that subject matter. Unless I was a doctor and I was on a YouTube channel explaining why this ailment and, what's going on with your body and treatment, because that's endless. But a lot of things, could you give us an example of something that you would get bored with talking about all the time?
Well,
just
I would get bored. Okay, so I would get bored with sports. I think a relationship show would get boring, because what happens is that eventually the people, they force themselves to talk about it. And they do it in a way by bringing up things that have absolutely nothing to do with relationships, I mean, we're people, we talk about, if you and I was on an airplane flight that was 7 hours, there wouldn't be one subject for 7 hours. We would probably be, bouncing around on topics. That's what we do.
That's right.
That's how people are.
Well, so you're saying that you're glad, especially on this day, that we can just commemorate.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly
have our
right.
Moment
if this were a
of respect
podcast,
for our silence to the family members
if this were
and the
a
ones
sports
who
show, there would be no way we could do a 9/11 show. There would be no way that we could do it. If we did a sports show, we wouldn't be able to interview your friends. We wouldn't be able to
on that
interview
day,
people.
On that day it's happening. Okay, for example, on that day it happened, which is a rare day. But I don't know if sports is such a great example. In your book, maybe, but in mine, because there's so many different sports, that would seem so entertaining to me to dissect sports. But I think that a show where it's just like a entertainment show where they do gossip, like a gossip show, I think that would be boring. You would have to dig up, and then there wouldn't be anything, and then pretty soon you're fake news. I like what we do is we just take what a lot of people are talking about at the time, and we just go dive deeper. We dive deeper, we give opinions, we sometimes have advice, and I like it too, Johnny. But back to the 9/11, do you remember exactly where you were when did you hear it live?
I woke up. I was really kind of funny. I was scheduled to have a psychic reading that day, but it got canceled for obvious reasons. And it was really just weird. And then, it didn't kind of hit me for a few days, like how big of a deal it was. I mean, what's the big deal about it is that, it's like all of a sudden these people were, it made it very hard for people to...
How did you hear about it? Do you remember where you were? How did you hear about it?
Yeah, it was on the news like everybody else. I mean, it's just that the tragedy of it all is that...
Okay, Johnny. You mean your mom called you in and said, hey, look at the TV? Or, I mean, I want to know exactly when you
I saw it on television.
Okay.
Yeah,
with your family?
I saw it on television.
With your family? Okay. What were they all saying and doing, like hugging each other, saying, oh?
They couldn't.
And did your mom cry?
Well, my mom didn't cry. None of us cried, but I will tell you that it sort of hits you when you realize, the people that died, the firemen, the and how it was such a tragic day, and
so many people died just trying to rescue them. It really was terrorizing. It was such the most horrific terror attack. Unbelievable watching those New Yorkers running through the streets, just not knowing what the heck is going on, and then just looking up and seeing the other airplane then hit as well. The terrorists must have done the two-plane thing so people would know, hey, this wasn't just an accident. We want you to be terrorized. We want you to know that this was on purpose. With the two planes and then the one at the Pentagon as well, then they got their message across. And it just must have been so devastating. And a lot of those rescue workers are now coming down with lung diseases from breathing all of that material, debris, and cancers. So there's a lot of prayers that people need to keep praying for these people and pray for our future as well. There's a big election coming up. Really research the policies. I would say that my number one policy, the number one thing that is important to me as an American is the safety of the world. I don't like seeing all of the killing around the world and all the wars. It actually gets scary because you can, as a female and a mom in your home, these people are being bombed and they're just trying to go along their daily lives, and they don't know if, like, in 3 seconds their apartment, because they saw one down the way that just got bombed, and they don't know, am I going to be that next unlucky one? Because, man, you don't have any time to run from a bomb. So I don't even know how they live day to day like that. I feel sad that it might become something they kind of get used to, although I did years ago see a documentary on the ladies, and they really got hooked on Valium, the downer pill.
Okay.
And, yeah, well, what do you mean, okay? I mean, I'm not the one who did the research in the documentary. I'm just telling you I watched the documentary, and then a lot of them do take Valium because, I mean, I really don't blame them if you think you're going to get bombed at any second of your life and you're just trying to concentrate on making this stew with a few last potatoes that you might have left. So, okay, let's be grateful for our nation and let's pray for it to gain even more strength, as much strength as we need to protect our people, our American people. I love this country, and so that's my number one thing. Each American who can vote, well, they need to really research the policies, not just vote for the party that they maybe grew up always voting for, because once I started really doing that, I'm really into politics now, and I think it's quite interesting. There's a lot of characters, and it's really interesting how it works. So I started researching, and then I don't need to tell anybody who I am voting for. I personally don't, because I am a radio personality, and I prefer to stay neutral, but I don't mind talking about it at all. It's easy to stay neutral. It really is. So I just know that at the polls, that is my choice, my decision, and I know that I'm making the right decision because I've done my research. And I just find that, that's the Americans' number one complaint. We don't know really what their policies are. Well, then you can go to the websites and read about it, and then you'll know, because in that election, in that race, they tend to avoid things that they think maybe are going to lose them votes. You know how it is. So what did you think, by the way, about the debate last night, Johnny?
Well, it was, I think it was biased against Trump. I think because, there were some things that he said that were not true, and they didn't call her on it, And I thought that...
I agree. Let me ask you something. Do you watch both sides of the news? ABC, CNN are the ones who are usually not reporting good things about Trump. Fox is, they're all Republicans. So do you watch both sides, or when you watch the side that you're not on, does that irk you or make you uncomfortable? How do you feel?
I think that the reason there is people feel that there's a bias, this is what I think, is that when you're a reporter, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, there was Howard Cosell, and he would always interview Muhammad Ali, but Muhammad Ali and him were friends. And I think what it is that reporters love to interview their friends. And this is why they appear to be biased, I think. Because what happens is that, Trump is friends with a lot of reporters at Fox, but probably the people in CNN, are friends with, the people on the other side.
Well, yeah, it's about not friendship. It's friendship because they agree with each other politically.
Yeah.
Some people are changing, though. They're crossing back, or they're crossing over. A couple of people have become Democrats, but more people have become pro-Trump, even the Kennedy.
Yeah, I heard about that. I mean,
Yeah. So, I watch it all. So, I like that guy. And you know what? Actually, being around Trump, it brings so much publicity. It brings so much attention, and so many people see something they may not have seen before, because I really didn't follow that guy. My daughter was saying, I like that guy, Kennedy, and I didn't really know him, so I started watching his speeches, and wow, I really am glad that he is supporting, I don't know who's going to win, but if Trump does win, if he's supporting the children's diet, their food intake, what we are feeding them, which is so much full of chemicals and preservatives. I really feed my family raw food, which is me and my daughter, so it's two people. We're women, so we like it. But, it doesn't have to do with women, but we're not just huge meat and potatoes type of, that's raw too. All I am telling you is I stay away from preservatives. Of course I have some, but I'm not a big junk food eater, because if you read what you're eating, maybe you wouldn't eat it. I'm one that does read, especially even ice cream. Ice cream has so much in it sometimes. Haagen-Dazs is the one that is just pure ice cream, you guys. So I just saw a documentary on that. Well, he's all backing that too, and then also with immunizations, because he says that we have, instead of 1 out of 36, it used to be, it's like 1 out of 3 children are coming up with autism, which I'm sure you know a lot about because your family deals with that. Well, I also was wondering, I'm sure we've had a show about it, but your view on immunization, because I do know that 2 of your nephews do have autism, more on the 4 and 2 on pretty, like the high spectrum of it. A slight spectrum can actually be great, it enhances people. So that is something to talk about just really quick. Johnny. So, what do you feel about kids, babies? I just looked, and my daughter got, oh my gosh, so many shots. I forgot, but I think it was like maybe over 10 in the first few years of their life. They get a lot. I think 3 months old or 6 months old, they get shots. I mean, you go back for a lot of shots. So, tell us what you think about that.
I've never seen a problem with it. I mean, I don't. I mean, you know, there's. I think that people get nervous about it because anytime science says you have to do something, you feel a little nervous because you're out of control.
Does your mom and yes, but then you just said at first though you never really thought it was that big of a deal. So you do not believe that it causes autism, or because it could be the food. It could be the food that the mother ate for her whole life that now is handing to her kid, or it could be food. So you don't think so? So your whole family and everybody had their vaccines?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm glad to know that people are working on finding out, because our children are everything, and those statistics are pretty steep on the decline. And also with obesity, big time. Americans are, I guess, the biggest in the world, and he's going to work on fighting all of those problems and getting results and solutions. He's not a weirdo. He's not a person who eats dogs. He actually did this little skit. Yeah, you know that show, Larry David's show? He's so funny, the comedian. The lady who plays his wife. Yes, the lady who plays his wife is married to this guy, John F. K. Jr. That's his name,
Robert
right?
F. Kennedy, yes.
Robert. Okay, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby. Okay, Bobby. And Jr., he has that raspy voice. I don't know what you were going to tell me what that condition was, but it doesn't bother me anymore because I like what he said.
He has a condition that makes him have that. He has a condition that makes him have that.
It's probably frustrating. But he did this cute little skit, and knowing that is his wife, you know, she probably set it up for him and filmed it, and he was cooking on the stove, like real nice chicken meat for his dogs, like a better meal than it looks like for a person, with rice and everything, doing lots of dogs, all their individual bowls, and just talking about cooking for his dogs and telling them, oh, please don't believe what you've heard. I would never eat you. I would never eat you. And he was pretty good, and his timing was good, and he was funny. So I guess when he was somewhere in a faraway land, you know how they have their delicacies. I mean, I was in Taipei, Taiwan, and they were scooping out a cow lung that looked like it was an accordion. It was like you're scooping the lung, okay, and onto their plate, like a buffet. Okay, I'm all about trying everything. I never would put my nose up, especially traveling to another country and their culture. That's their culture. I would never offend anybody, but I just passed that one up. I passed that by because that was just too much. But, okay, I didn't mean to dominate Johnny, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, he and there was something about the worm in his brain. That's what I've heard.
Oh, it was a thing, it wasn't the cow lung. That was, it was goat. He ate goat. Where would you eat goat? What kind?
I don't know.
Okay, so it was some kind of delicacy when he was traveling. And anyway, then they were all over the news. They were telling.
Mutton?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have to look that up. But I saw it all over the news how they were saying, he's a weirdo, everybody. Don't believe in anything. Don't listen to him. He eats dog. So they're just like ruthless in politics. You know what I mean? They will stop at nothing to ruin a person's credibility. And this guy has just done so much in politics. Everybody knows him on both sides. I mean, he's been such a great, great politician. So it just goes to show you, they take a lot. And not only that, they also maybe take a bullet. And that's another thing. We have our own American terrorists walking amongst us. So how do you feel about that, Johnny? Is that something you think about? Say you go for a walk and go to the gas station, that you're the unlucky one that comes across something like that? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I'm coming across somebody at a gas station. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weirdo that might do something weird to you, or you come across and maybe there's a holdup, or maybe you go to Arby's and there's a shooting or something, and you're unlucky. And I just feel like pretty soon maybe it won't be about luck because it will be just too rampant. I would like, okay, this is the thing. Maybe my number one isn't what I just said about world peace. I think my number one is, please stop letting the criminals through our borders. I love immigrants. It made America. I love going to all these other towns like Little Italy, or, a Vietnamese place, or, going to where a Mexican area is where I could have like authentic Mexican food, which is a lot around here in Southern California. But, I love all people. I love trying to learn new languages, and I don't mind if they're my neighbor at all. And especially growing up, I never had a problem with anybody's skin color. It just was not an issue in my family at all.
Right.
I just am a lot concerned about these criminals getting through, because it's so easy, and there's millions of them coming through, and many facts, many cases of them doing horrific things. And I have to look this up, but I don't know if one or a gang of immigrants tried to get on a school bus recently, but my daughter takes a school bus home every single day. I told her, now you're going to have to watch out for that and make sure you know where the exits are. Even if you don't have an accident, you see a bunch of hoodlums getting on, and you see them holding something hard in their pocket, please just go out the exit. But not if you're going more than 5 miles an hour. And, oh my goodness. Now we have to worry about that. We already have to worry about our child terrorists that somehow aren't getting enough attention, and they go on shooting rampages at the school randomly in the sweetest little towns that you never would imagine. So, Johnny?
Yes, I'm here.
There's a lot of things we need to think about as citizens of the United States, and our prayers. I am a religious person. Are you, Johnny?
Spiritual, yeah.
So your family doesn't go to a specific church?
No. We're more like we sort of find it by, we sort of have it, it's not through church. We just do it through studying and that sort of stuff, and reading.
So you haven't been born again? You're not a born again Christian?
No, I am, but I just don't believe. I believe that churches are different. That it's like it's not a building. If that makes any sense. Actually, it means simply those who are called out.
I know. I am not judging you because you don't go under a roof and a little steeple to worship, although it is a fantastic experience to do so. But I understand that, but I was just wondering what your actual religion, if any, you and your family were, and now you said you are a Christian. So and I do know. And I don't have a church right now either, Johnny, so I'm needing to make more of an effort to find one because I think that's good for me to get out and about and meet other people that are like-minded like that, and it's just positive. So, well, on that note, we will go on our way and go on with our evening. And I will. I know what I got to do. Do you have anything you need to do? This is Wednesday. This is Hump Day. Okay, this is half the week. Is there anything you would like to accomplish before the end of the week?
The end of the week, promote the show for Friday. You know,
okay.
That's what
Psychic Night Friday.
Right.
We'll start right now.
Yeah.
Psychic Night Friday
right.
is this Friday with Dale Shear, Psychic Dale Shear, everybody, and you will call in that night. So get your questions ready. You get one question. It's a mini reading, and we are on for an hour on Fridays. So that is, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What time is it for you over in Florida, Johnny?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Do you call yours Eastern, correct?
Central.
Eastern. Oh, right, because you're in Destin. But some people a little further further east will be Eastern time, correct?
Right.
In Florida. Okay. All right. Well, when I grew up in Washington, we were always just all Pacific Standard Time in the whole state. So that's why I asked, Johnny. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And follow us on all of our social media, Life After Happiness radio show on Facebook, Life After Happiness on Instagram and Twitter. All right. See you Friday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.